Hello beer tubers and welcome to another beer review with me, Peter, the master of Hoppets. Today, checking out some more Danish craft beer from a new kind of project, somewhat new. If you follow the Danish beer scene, you'll know that Mikkel Bauhan closed and Aaron Schmidt was going his own way to start a new project. Then, because of that, he found with some investors Insight Cellars, which is pretty much a similar idea as Mikkel Bauhan, making loads of different wild ales aged in oak, using cool ingredients and barrels and all kinds of stuff. I got a few of them to try. For example, the Bucca Collab Sensei Batch 2, I think it is. And then there is like some stuff with grapes. There's some stuff with hops. There's some white Saturn peach beer. There's a few different things. So it'll be really fun to try those. But they also started a sub-brand called Copenhagen Commons, which is meant for spontaneous kind of wild beers and playing around and doing stuff. They say that it's very rooted in tradition and classic beers, but it's also something where they get to play around and do different things, which is really cool. Judging by what they're releasing so far, I'm not thinking this is going to be like hazy doubles and pastry sours and all that. It's going to be rooted in more old school stuff, because so far they've released 2 Belgian pale ales, which we're trying today, and then they are coming out with a Pilsner and a Belgian strong, was it golden ale? I mean, that's really cool. You don't see many people play around with that, especially coming from, like Aaron, and I think he has a team he brews with. Maybe I'm not entirely sure if it's just him doing the entire brewing, but really cool to see that come from a skilled brewer making something classic. Because otherwise, a lot of the really old school beers in Denmark or old school beer styles are very old school breweries as well, not like newer breweries with a bigger following of like beer geeks. So let's see how these are. So we're trying Wild Zealand and Noble Nordic. Both of these, I think, premiered at Bad Seed Beer Fest. I'm not sure they premiered, but they were pouring them here in Aalborg in Denmark. And I tried one of them and I really enjoyed it. But now we have them in cans. I think they're canned in November because they got a different date system on here than usually in Denmark. Usually it's day, month, year. But here's this a year and then 2 numbers. And apparently, according to my girlfriend, when it's like this, it's usually year, month, date. So it's like backwards. But we got Wild Zealand, which is a super hoppy Danish ale with New Zealand hops, and Noble Nordic, a super hoppy Danish ale with Noble hops. So I think we should start off with the Wild Zealand just because of New Zealand hops. I'm thinking it could be a bit more delicate, so to say, even though it's stronger in ABV and everything than Noble hops. Because if this is and this is also 65 IBUs, so if it's, I think it was 65, right? I'm just thinking like if we get a beer that is really bitter, noble hop forward, I'm thinking this is inspired by Taz Bulba, then maybe if this is more soft and fruity, it's got a 60 IBUs. The other one will overshadow it. But yeah, I mean, it sounds nice. It's got Motueka, Pacific and Wheaty, some nice New Zealand hops. Let's check it out. So pour is a golden yellow color in the glass, nice carbonation, somewhat soft, a little bit of particle floaties floating around. I'm sure it's going to be hazy if I pour the rest of the can in. Whitehead, let's check out the aroma. Oh yeah, very Belgian. There's really a lot of muscat grape character, or Gewürztraminer or something like that. It's really reminding me of grapes a lot, and a lot of Alsatian grapes to me. Big perfumey like Gewürztraminer or muscat notes, which is interesting. That was not what I was expecting, but I think it's because you have the combination of Belgian yeast and then maybe the fruity hops. At least Motueka is quite fruity and mangoey. There's maybe also like a really like candied mango hard candy kind of, almost like my grandma used to serve bonbons, like hard candies. There was like rhubarb hard candies and all kinds. There was also like some sweet tropical kind of ones, and some of them had like a little bit of a white sugary dusting on them. There's a bit of that. Actually, rhubarb. I'm getting that as well. There's also maybe some slight herbal minty notes. Also elderflower cordial. Very unique aroma. It smells really good. Yeah, and then there's some spice, definitely some breadiness. Really cool smelling. Let's try it. Cheers. And also, massive shout out to Beer Dome, where I got these. I forgot it because this is the second take. But because I already did it in the first one. Great. But yeah, Beer Dome supplied these, which is silly because they're from Denmark, but they've not been available locally. I saw them on Beer Dome and I was placing an order. I was like, let's get them in there as well. So yeah, let's try it. Cheers, and thanks to Beer Dome for the beer. Ooh, spicy. And bitter. And dry. And also fruity. I'm quite interested. Let's see here. Try and smell this. Did I mix them up? Because they're entirely the same color. Nope, I did not mix them up, that's for sure. This is, so I don't understand the averages on these beers, first of all. They seem to me similar to, if you think like Deranke or Brasserie de la Seine in terms of quality and flavor. Because they've got like, Danes are so harsh when they rate, man. Both of these beers have only like 3.4. Are you shitting me? 3.4? Classic beer does not stand a chance in this country, man. I really don't get it. It's funny to see like a lot of people rate it that low, but then I see my friends and they like it. So there is maybe a thing with similar palates and whatnot. Like some people are enjoying this, but when I saw the average, I was like, what the hell? Forgot to mention the ABV. This is 6 point something. So 6%, and the Noble Nordic is 4.5. So very much a beer similar to what you get at De La Seine, I think. Very hop forward, but very bitter and very spicy. Belgian character really shines. Lots of spicy kind of phenolic character from yeast as well. There's like some clovey kind of notes. But there's so much like hop flavor too. There's like that rhubarby hard candy thing. There's a little bit of a slight soapy kind of bitter bite, herbal bite. Really cool beer. I can't see why people like dislike this, man. Like, come on. It's not supposed to be a juicy, hazy Southern Hemisphere hop beer. This is a Belgian pale ale with New Zealand hops. Man. But let's move on to Noble Nordic. So, Noble Nordic, super hoppy Danish ale with generous bill of noble hops from continental Europe. A light and refreshing body, assertive bitterness, and underlying complexity make this beer highly drinkable without sacrificing quality or flavor. 4.5%. This must be the Tas Bulba inspired beer. Let's check it out. So, same color, pale, pin bright yellow, white head. Yeah, very floral, this one actually. Supercharged on the floral nuances. But definitely lingering peppery spice underneath. It's interesting. It smells really, it also has like a bit of that yogurty feel. It smells very similar to Wild Zealand. It's just lacking like that like fruitiness and candied fruitiness. I talked about rhubarb and all these kind of hard candies. It's just this is a bit more fruity, kind of citric, grassy, floral. It's kind of what you associate with like Pilsners. More so than the other one, which is a bit more fruity, but smells really good. Let's try it. Cheers. And again, thanks to Beer Dome for the beer. Oh, that's a crusher. And then the assertive bitterness comes and the massive bouquet of floral. Wow, that's really good. I actually like that more than the New Zealand hop one, which I expected to, but it has a bit more edge and rawness. This really showcased the fruitiness of noble hops. I'd be hard pressed if there wasn't Mittelfoy in this, because it has a lot of that citric floral quality that you get from Mittelfoy, especially if it's in high quantities. Very, very similar beer to something like Tas Bulba. It's so fun to see when brewers try and replicate that beer, because there's a lot of brewers now that's tried to brew something similar to Tas Bulba. When you have Tas Bulba, you're almost always like, oh man, there's so many trying to do this, but Tas Bulba is still the king. I think this is pretty damn close, because it has that balance of like fruitiness, but also assertive, spicy bitterness and dryness, like that you get from that beer. But I'm sure if you share this with someone who's never heard of De La Seine, who's into the modern beer scene, and loves all this stuff, the fruity stuff, the sweet stuff. You try this, and you're gonna be like, what? Like, this is not fruity. This is not sweet. This is dry, and it's bitter, and it's herbaceous, and floral, and citric, and like spicy. And I can see why you might be a bit scared off, but this is fucking great beer. Like, I love these kind of, I love De La Seine. Both of these seem to be inspired by like De La Seine's brewing, because they're like super hoppy Belgian pales, but with loads of bitterness and spiciness and everything. I think it's fun to see them play around with these kind of styles as well. Like, I love that it's not jumping into what's trendy, with the Copenhagen Commons side brand. But I think people are way too harsh on these. Like, way too harsh. These are so much inspired by hoppy Belgian pales, especially De La Seine style beers, and they are doing it so right. What would make these even more fun would be breaded versions. Like, versions with Brettanomyces would be amazing. I mean, there's even like a little bit of Orval lineage in terms of the hoppiness, just without the Brettanomyces. But yeah, my favorite is actually Noble Nordic, just because I really enjoy the interplay of the flavors just a little bit more than the Wild Seedland. But I think both are really, really good beers, and I think they're harshly underrated. And that just, it's not just me trying to champion like upcoming brewers or anything. It's just like, I think people should have a bit more of an open mind, like, and then maybe just like think before you grade. If you don't like it because it's too bitter for you, and you give it a 0.25 or something, then if the beer is, I can tell you, because I've been drinking beer and being into beer for so many years, I've tried so many beer styles. This is how it's supposed to be. There's nothing off about this. So if you dislike it and it's brewed according to the style and how it's supposed to be, and you dislike it, just don't rate it. Don't rate it. Make a comment, this is not for me, instead of dragging the average down. Because Untappd now has so much influence on what people buy and what shops buy and whatnot. Like, it shouldn't be rated this low, because this is fabulous beer. So for me, this one, 91, 92, fantastic. It's not as good as Taras Bulba. Taras Bulba is the king of, the hoppy noble hop beers, but it's still really good. And for Wild Seedland, straight 90, really good. Similar flavor profile, just a bit more fruity. It feels more dainty now. I don't know what's going on. That's how it is, jumping between glasses. But it's similar type beer, just with more kind of fruity flavors than the Noble Nordic. But really good. Really good. So if you guys had a chance to try Noble Nordic and Wild Seedland, let me know what you thought of them. If you love Brasserie de la Seine, you need to try these. So thanks a ton to Beerdom for the beers. Check out their web shop. Link for it is down below. Maybe they still have some left. I'm pretty sure they still have a little bit of inside sellers. They had a Motueka single hop wild ale. So I think that might still be on there. Check it out. Link for it is down below. And as always, remember to comment, subscribe, check out the Facebook fan page and Twitter and Instagram. Give the video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Ring the bell for future notifications about videos. And I'm going to say cheers and see you guys in another beer review.